It's Happy Hour again from Uptown New Orleans. Hello, I'm Grant Morris. Happy Hour is part of the family of shows on the podcast network. It's neworleans.com. When you walk into a bar in New Orleans and you pull up a bar stool, you never know who's going to be sitting on either side of you, texting, or what the fuck are you actually doing there?
No idea.
Nothing. Okay. What you do know is no matter what they look like, what they're wearing, whether they just got out of a limousine or just got out of jail, they're going to be happy to talk to you because that's New Orleans. And this is Happy Hour, a cocktail-fueled 60 minutes. If I pick this up, I can see it a lot better. Of random conversation with folks who have nothing in common other than we're all New Orleanians in a bar. Today we're at the fabulous Wayfair on Ferret Street, where they put fine dining into a sandwich, which means they take food that tastes good and they put it between two slices of bread.
Homemade from scratch. Tastes good.
It really is good. That's the voice of Andrew Duhon, my co-host, and Happy Hour Troubadour, back from Mid-City.
That's right.
Nice to see you back from Mid-City. It's good to be back here. We haven't been here for 2 weeks due to the Thanksgiving holiday.
That's right, yeah.
That is a total waste of time, that Thanksgiving holiday, isn't it? Don't you think? And Glaviano is here with us as well. I'll tell you a little bit about her in a minute. Did you enjoy Thanksgiving, Anne, or was it just a total waste of time?
It's not my favorite holiday.
We have two choices. Yeah. Enjoy it or total waste of time?
It's a total waste
Total
of time.
waste of time. Thank you. Where were you exactly?
In Araby. My family's in Araby.
In Araby?
Yeah.
For people who are living outside of New Orleans, where is that exactly?
It is the thing that is kind of like a suburb directly east of the city limits. So, the lower Ninth Ward abuts.
So how would you describe growing up in Araby? What kind of a...
Well, I didn't.
Blue collar? Or you didn't grow up?
I didn't grow up in Araby.
Your family moved to Araby after you?
No, wrong again.
Okay. One more. P.H. Fred is here too. P.H. Fred, you want to have a guess about what the Araby story is?
No.
All right. What is it, Anne?
My mother's family is from there, and most of my family still lives there. She has 7 siblings. So I grew up in Metairie, but...
Your mother has 7 siblings?
My mother has 7 siblings. So they're all in St. Bernard, and I grew up in Metairie, which is not nearly as interesting.
Any transgender among the 7 siblings?
Transgender, no, but half are divorced, which makes us like the national average.
Right.
Is it still 50%?
I think it's actually decreased. I think marriage is on the rise.
Right. I thought that the divorce rate has gone down too. I think probably the age that people are getting married is getting older.
Yeah.
That probably would increase the chance of staying together because you're going to die.
Yeah. I just read an article that said that in fact the people have not the trend towards people getting married at an earlier age is actually historic. People typically have gotten married in like their late 20s or that the idea that like people used to get married when they were 16 is actually unusual, and it was kind of specific to royalty. So we're normal.
Was it really?
Mm-hmm.
I thought it was specific to Mississippi and Slidell.
No.
And Jerry Lee Lewis.
Right. Well, that's North Louisiana or something,
Exactly.
right? Is that right? So most societies, people have got married later?
Mm-hmm.
But I thought we used to die when we were 30-something.
Well, and that's why the divorce rate got so high.
Because we started living longer.
Exactly, yeah.
Okay, yeah, that's a good point. That's what I'm saying. If people get married later, the chance of getting divorced is decreased.
Right.
Because first of all, you know something more about who you're going to get along with, I guess.
Yeah.
But secondly, you're going to be more likely to die before you get divorced.
Exactly. So really, we're just, as the longer we live, the later we should marry.
Right. And of the 7 siblings, there are 8 altogether, right?
8 altogether.
So 4 of them are divorced.
Mm-hmm. And
what's the uniting factor about the other 4 that have stayed together? What can we learn from the other 4 siblings?
Stick-to-itness.
Yeah, but what is the sort of... Is there an underlying quality?
No.
Let's go through them alphabetically. Alcohol?
No. I'm going through the siblings in my head in order of age.
Look at the salad that you ordered here. Oh my God! Bring it on.
Oh my God!
That looks incredible. What is that?
It's a mountain. It's a mountain of salad.
What is it though?
It's a roasted beet salad with both red beets and golden beets. The waitress was.
Man, there's enough for all of us.
Yes,
there, right?
and she said she usually gets it with chicken, and so I.
So you got it with chicken
I took
too.
her advice. It looks really good.
Well, bring it over. Otherwise, you'll never eat that by yourself. So we'll help you out.
Sure.
I'm sorry that Miss Mick isn't here because she loves chicken. No, put it on the table. You can't put it on a chair, for Christ's sake. That's ridiculous.
Yep.
No, that looks really good. We won't spit on it or anything.
That's
We're going to need 3 more forks.
Yes,
yeah.
that's probably true, actually.
What are we going to get for dessert? Do they have good dessert here, Andrew? I'm not sure.
Oh my God, they have I had a, what was it? It was pumpkin, I want to say pumpkin shot, no. Oh my God. I think Grand Marnier bread pudding.
Well, how'd you get pumpkin out of that?
It's orange. It's orange.
Oh, I see.
Right,
I
so,
see. You're
okay.
thinking
right,
back.
so
All right.
It's been a while, but I can tell you that I don't love Grand Marnier, but that It was the best thing I've ever had in my life.
In your life?
I have to tell you something, though.
Yeah.
When I had it, I might have been high.
On what, pot?
Yeah.
Well, that does increase the chances that you'll enjoy it a lot more than if you weren't, but still doesn't mean it wasn't any good. I've eaten tons of stuff on the menu here. I wasn't that high.
I got it again as a takeout for scientific purposes to decide whether or not it was that. And I have no. Well, I did have it like an hour or two later, which desserts don't keep all that great. But
yeah,
I have
was
no
it just
reason,
as good?
Not just as good because it was 2 hours later,
and he wasn't high.
Right.
So okay,
Yeah,
so
and-
so you came here. You're high enough to order 2 desserts.
No. This is a different time.
Different day. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So you got it on the different day. So, but why didn't you eat it here on the day you got it the second time?
I think I had a
Busy.
dinner at home planned, and I wanted to
have a dessert.
Yeah, have
that's
a dessert,
a nice thing to do.
Yeah.
So it wasn't as good. It also, but thank God the pot.
No. But not good that I would say that it wasn't the best thing I ever had, or it was the best thing I ever had, regardless of my state.
Right. Can you? Do you have any quality control over the weed that you're buying? Can you get that again? That stuff.
I don't like. I'm such a seldom smoker that I don't really buy it. Travel around.
Someone just gives it to you.
Well, you go to a lot of venues, and
He's a musician.
everybody.
Yeah, if you're a musician, someone gives you.
Jeez,
PH Free, you've been a musician for a long time. Do people give you weed everywhere?
No comment.
That means yes, I suppose. So all we have to do is carry a guitar around. And do you sing or play anything?
Yes, but I haven't done it in public in a while. My music affiliation at the moment is that I'm a DJ, so that's my.
What sort of drugs do people give DJs?
I don't. They never give them to me.
Never.
But I don't.
That's interesting.
I honestly don't even DJ that drunk. I mean, sometimes I do, but it's usually inadvertent.
Drunk and DJ sounds fun.
Well, it's a disaster. It's really, it's like I can do it buzz, but as soon as it's like more than that, I play the wrong side, and the other side's always a ballad.
The other side's usually it's a CD you're playing, right? There's no song on the other side.
No, well, no.
So what's the station and what's your handle?
Oh no, it's live. I mean, it's at a bar.
Which bar?
Oh, got it. Cool.
12 Mile Limit on the second Saturday of every month, and Sydney Saloon on the fourth Saturday of every month. And the party is called Heatwave Dance Party.
Heatwave Dance Party.
Yeah, and I don't have a DJ name. It's just Ann Glaviano.
and Glaviano, the DJ.
I get a lot of flack for that.
DJ Ann Glaviano.
DJ, yeah, I know it's kind of a terrible DJ name, but.
Is it your real name?
It is, in fact, my real name.
Well, I guess it saves coming up with a brand, right? Like PH Fred's his real name, but I don't know.
I paid good money for it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So say that again. Every
second Saturday in Mid City at 12 Mile Limit.
That is really hard to figure that out.
It's basically bi-weekly, every other week, more or less.
And
I'm
where
DJing.
can we go? I mean, I'm not going to be able to remember that in 5 minutes. Where would I go to look that up? Is there anglaviano.com?
Well, in fact, there is.
There is. ANN with no E on the end of.
Yeah, yes. Glaviano.com, and also Facebook.com/HeatwaveNola is the DJ page.
Heatwave Nola was on Facebook. Are you going to eat some of this? You have to eat some. Is there any silverware here?
Let's talk to PH Fred and pretend like we're not paying attention.
Okay, all right. We'll let you eat some salad.
Noise.
Okay. Now just listen to this because this is a very interesting story. Here, pull that over there so you can.
Oh, can I go back to the drug thing real quick?
Sure.
Yep.
Musician offered drugs. Comedian offered better drugs. Greenpeace offered best drugs.
Are you involved with Greenpeace?
I did that back in the 90s. We were getting like Acapulco Gold, Oregon Bud, all the good stuff. It was like a Cheech and Chong movie with whales involved. It was the best time of my life.
Yeah.
Did you probably believe that you saved some whales even with that?
Hell
guy,
no.
right?
No. Didn't believe any of that shit.
Where was this?
Chicago.
Chicago?
Yes.
Well, there's no fucking whales in Chicago, dude. I can tell you that. It's a lake. It looks big, especially when you're fucked up on Acapulco Gold, but there is no whales in Lake. It's called Lake Erie, I believe, isn't it?
That's because
I don't know if there's even fish in there. Are there? It's freezing.
I'm certain that there's fish.
What were you doing with doing a Greenpeace movement? Like, was there a boat involved?
No. It was very bizarre. We're raising money for the whales and all that stuff, but it was during the first Gulf War. So there were two types of people. There were the Republican types who go, I'm watching the frickin' war on TV, go away, you hippie. And they threaten to beat you up. And then there were the people who goes, I like whales. You want some brownies? Come on in. And they give you money, they give you weed, they give you brownies, they give you food. That was the best time of my life.
Really? What were you doing there ostensibly?
I was pursuing my comedy career. And I did
at
Greenpeace.
Second City?
No. More like Fifth Country or something.
What were you doing? You had a routine, stand-up
Yeah,
routine?
I was doing stand-up and musical comedy.
Can you
stuff
remember
like
how your routine started back then? What was
No,
happening?
it was
Anyone here
horrible.
from out of town or anything like that?
that. Yeah, sometimes the kill time.
Something like that?
But the worst part about working at Greenpeace, because you don't have papers all the time. They would make
Rolling papers.
They make
Can you see me?
I don't. No, I can't.
I'm trying to get him to move in.
I should have been
Yeah,
smoking
that's
more
it.
weed
Yeah.
than the glaucoma
Okay.
wouldn't have taken my eye. So anyway, you'd be done. You'd be standing in the alley outside of Greenpeace, and we didn't have an apple. We'd have a tin can, and you'd dent the tin can and make your bong.
We
and
didn't
all
have an apple?
that. No, we didn't have an apple.
What's an apple got to do with a tin can?
He
come
was
on,
going to
man.
make a,
bong
pipe out of it.
Yeah, a bong
A
out of
bong.
an apple bong.
Yeah.
Did you know that?
Yeah, it's
I've
like
never
just
heard
like a
that.
little.
I just-
you just need a channel that's a 90-degree
apple.
angle, right?
I just sent final edits on a novella to my publisher, and an apple bong is in it.
With the connection.
Oh, that's quite an interesting sentence, which we're going to have to come back to. Can somebody who hasn't been smoking weed remember that? I just, finished the edits. I sent the edits
Novella.
on my novella
Right.
or something like that.
And there's an apple bong in it.
Novella.
So we'd use aluminum cans instead,
Yeah.
and at the end there was always some Greenpeace peacenik or whatever go. So who's bringing the can upstairs so we can recycle? That always was like the big downer after that. It was like getting the rejection letter that they weren't going to publish my novella.
Yeah. Got a
Eat
lot of
your
those.
salad because wait till
I'm so paranoid. But
No, don't worry about that. We can turn your mic down while you have your salad because we have to ask PH Fred. We have a lot of stories to get out. Because last time, this is about PH Fred. I don't know how many times he's been on the show. 3, 4. He won't know either because he has absolutely no memory. 4, 5?
This is 4, I think.
4.
I
Okay.
think.
So this last time Fred was on the show was about, I don't know, was it 6 months ago? And it was possibly going to be the last day of his life because that day he had just got diagnosed with some sort of a tumor in his head somewhere
Really?
between his brain and his eye or his nose or somewhere.
in his Fred head.
And he
Yes.
called and said, I can't do the show. And I'm like, you have to do it. Come on, you can't not do it.
And then I
So
showed
he
up.
talked him into doing it. And
I showed up, and guess who's on the show with me, Grant?
Exactly. We didn't know that. We don't know anything. We don't book the show. Graham DePonte books the show.
Okay,
our
we still
fabulous
don't know
producer.
who was on the show.
Don't you remember?
No, who? No.
He wasn't here.
Paul Sanchez, you weren't here.
No, I wasn't here.
Okay, so tell him the story.
Paul Sanchez was married to my wife.
Wow.
Not at the same time as me. And we had never performed together, so that was very tense, and I thought I had 24 hours to live. So.
It was quite an exciting show. You can find it if you search our website. It's neworleans.com for
my
PH
God.
Fred.
Oh my god.
I know, so Fred comes in here thinking this is the last day of his life, and I'm thinking this could be pretty funny because we'll have the last interview, which has got to be worth something, because when you hear what he's done, it's actually quite impressive. So I'm thinking, well, this has got to be worth something, this interview. Now, finally, we can cash in on the show. And then he sits down there, and there's his, I don't know, I guess, what do you call someone who was married to the same person?
My wife's ex-husband.
Okay, my wife's ex-husband. There's not a word for that, like husband-in-law or something, right?
I think wife's ex-husband.
Anyway, so Fred goes from here, from the show after that traumatic experience, to a hospital, I guess, some weeks later to find out whether, or we're waiting for
Well,
the results
they had
to
to
find out
remove
whether it
it,
was
yeah.
benign or, so it ended up being benign, right?
Yes.
Thank goodness for
It was
that at
3
least.
inches by 2 inches, but benign.
Whoa.
Did they take it out?
Yes.
3 inches by 2
Do you
inches.
have a cool scar?
No, but
They
I
went
did
up
have
through-
a cool T-shirt.
They went up through his nose.
Really?
That's like a trading card.
It is.
That's the same size as like a baseball card.
Yeah.
Yeah.
like a Pokemon.
Wow, good point.
Collect them all.
And when you say 3 inches by 2 inches, that assumes it was 2-dimensional. What was the third?
It was 3-dimensional.
So what was the third
They
dimension?
said it was the size of 3 fingers, so about that thick.
Yeah.
And where was it going from? From your brain behind
No,
your?
it was in my sinuses underneath my eye, going back to my ear.
Whoa.
And at the time, so what had happened was, I don't, excuse me telling you this
No,
the
please
story
tell
for
the
you,
story.
but
You
as
know-
I recall, you went to see a doctor because you'd been losing your memory.
Right.
People would come in the room and you didn't know who they were. Much the same thing happened this afternoon when
When I
you
didn't know
arrived
who-
here. Didn't know who Chris was,
Exactly.
who's technically directed every single show that we've ever done here. But anyway, notwithstanding, he was not remembering who people were and had memory problems and went to a neurologist to find out what was wrong, and they said, you've got a giant growth in the back of your head. And that's what it turned out to be.
Yes.
And what was the technical name of this thing?
It's a papilloma.
Papilloma.
Is it like a butterfly?
Yeah, no, that's a papillon.
It's the size of a monarch butterfly, I suppose. That would be
tumor
about...
But it did look like Dustin Hoffman.
Oh,
so,
yeah, there you go.
Looked like Dustin Hoffman.
Papillon.
Okay, so where is it today?
It's living in my backyard.
Do you have it? Is it
no,
in a
they
jar or
wouldn't, give, they
something?
wouldn't give it to me.
Why?
I wanted it.
Oh, I bet you wanted
It it's part of you.
I owned that
Yeah,
papillon.
what's
made
going
it.
Good
on?
point.
You
Don't
made
you
it.
own it?
Yeah.
Do we have a lawyer on this?
I'm going to call him right now.
Call your lawyer, okay.
Yeah.
Put him on. What is that? What is going on with this phone of yours?
I have no idea.
You remember when you had that? This is a different phone.
Yes.
Last time you came on the show, you had a giant, tablet.
You're making this shit up.
No.
I mean, they're making this stuff.
I'm not making that up at all. Anyway, so the bottom line is here, you're totally healthy now. There's nothing wrong with you.
I have
'Cause
other things wrong.
The time before you were on the show, you were supposed to be on the show, you had a heart attack.
Yeah.
And you
or
were
close to it. Yeah, I
in
was
hospital.
in the hospital, yeah.
In the hospital, and couldn't do the show because he had a heart attack. Well, it turned out not to be a heart attack. It turned out to be...
I was just allergic to you.
What did it turn out to be that time?
They said it was a combination of a pinched nerve causing the tingling in my arm, indigestion, which was causing the chest pains, and stress.
Go figure. And
I
he's
can't imagine why you thought you were having a heart attack.
And my dad and my mom both had heart attacks.
Well, this is like you just went down the checklist of
Yeah,
heart
but-
attack symptoms. That's why.
And he's only got one eye.
Yeah, and I've only got one eye.
He really does only have one eye. Which one do you think is the real eye?
Let me see.
Well, they're both
It's
real. One of
50-50.
them doesn't work.
It's tough to say. They both.
I think it's
Same.
this one because he can't. He's
No,
not
this,
looking.
this is the bad
It's
one.
that
This is
one.
really- this is the one.
Okay, so the right one is good. The left one is bad.
I went to high
It's
school
still
with a girl who actually only had one. Or she had two eyes, but one of them was made out of glass.
I haven't gotten to the glass eye
Oh,
part.
okay.
Which high school was that?
That was Mount Carmel.
Mount Carmel.
Yeah.
I
Okay.
taught there once upon a
Did
time.
you? Oh.
And P.H. Fred is also the inventor of the Freducator, which is an ACT enhancing test taking app that's on your iPhone. For only $4.99, you can increase your ACT
It's an
score.
expensive app.
Well,
Compared to
One kid
Think of the
one kid
possibilities.
got a $250,000 scholarship because of that app. So it's not an expensive app, trust me.
it's $4.99 to increase your ACT score, almost guaranteed.
That's pretty good.
Pretty good.
Expensive.
Are you kidding? Do you know what it costs to go to one of those ACT training courses?
I tested.
Tell
well.
her,
I didn't-
Fred.
Yeah, in between $1,500 and $2,500.
Yeah.
Between
That's good.
$1,500 and
Good, good.
$2,500, and for just $4.99, you too can increase your ACT score.
I'm not getting nurse to endorse the product. That's expensive app.
I can't believe how cheap that is, and it works. Is the funny part about it because he's a tutor as well. He's sort of a genius. It's hard to tell that.
He's very nice, kind, and I pay him good money.
There you go.
Fred, what about playing us a song just to cement the whole story, just to bring us full circle?
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
Because he also has a band called Mr. Fred's Square Pegs. It's round
Round
pegs. If I had this written down, it would be a lot easier.
if it were square pegs, everything
Would be fine,
okay.
right? Yeah, right. So Mr. Fred plays in a band where he's the singer and everyone else was basically Lou Reed's band,
Among other people. Yep.
among other people. But
Lots of people.
he's a pretty impressive guy all around when he's not in the lockup.
Okay, this is a holiday song about fighting with the person you don't like anymore. I don't want to fight. I don't care if you turn on the lights. I can't do this another night. I want to bicker with you. Bicker with you, bicker with you. My heart beats quicker every time I bicker with you. I did you wrong, so I bought you some flowers. I wrote you this song. Short of the matter, gone on too long. I don't want to bicker with you. Bicker with you, bicker with you. My heart beats quicker every time I bicker with you. I can't do this again. You found Jesus, I found Zen. By any means necessary, like Malcolm 10. I want to bicker with you. Bicker with you, bicker with you. My heart beats quicker every time I bicker with you. Let me tell you what we got. It is what it is. It's not what it's not. Kinda like Macbeth. I'll be damn spot. I don't wanna bicker with you. Bicker with you. Bicker with you. My heart beats quicker every time I bicker with you. And actually, this has nothing to do with the holidays. I can't do this no more. You called me an asshole, I called you a whore. The cops showed up, kicked down the door. I don't bicker with you. Bicker with you, bicker with you. My heart beats quicker, the shit gets thicker. Pass the liquor, getting thicker. Oh, I give up, I might as well bicker with you. No one else but you. All the things you do.
P.H. Fred.
Oh, yeah.
Off the forthcoming album. What's the name of the new album?
I don't know. No,
Bicker with you.
It's called, no, the album's
Does
called...
that exist on a record somewhere?
It's
that
on
one?
the album You Are Unique in All the World, the best of Mr. Fred.
You Are Unique in All the World.
Just came out on iTunes this week.
Oh, really? Really?
Time for the Christmas.
So you have a best of record.
The best. I've been doing this since 1988.
Well, I'm not suggesting you shouldn't have a best of record.
Yes, there's
but
a best
there
of that
is.
just came out. Yes.
There's a best of P.H. Fred.
Yes. Yes, there
That's
is.
very impressive.
Well, thank
and what
you.
else is on there?
All sorts of stuff. Emo, that song you like.
That song, I like that song. You did that last time. So did you sit down and write down a list of words that rhyme with bicker, or did they just come to you?
They just came to me. I didn't even use a
like-
rhyming dictionary for that.
Is there such a thing?
Oh yeah, I
Yeah.
have one.
There is. You have
I
that
have one on
and-
my phone.
And you on the phone, you have an app for that?
How much was that app?
No, that was free.
There's a
You'll buy
rhyming-
that
You
one.
see what I'm saying?
Do you have a
Exactly.
rhyming dictionary, Andrew?
I don't have. I mean, just Google rhyming dictionary, and there's a rhyming. Yeah.
I've had one for probably upwards of 13 years, like before apps were a thing. So it's
When
like
there was
on
an
my
actual book.
It's
Actually
a
a book,
book
yeah.
on my actual
It's like a
bookshelf.
thesaurus. And
The
what?
thesaurus.
Who would use a rhyming dictionary? A poet? What do you use it for, Andrew?
Yeah, I'm a writer, so
You're a writer.
yeah.
I know all about you. You're a multidisciplinary artist.
Yeah,
And you have many side hustles. You're the grant writer for the Louisiana Philharmonic Orchestra.
that is a true statement.
So if it wasn't for you, there would be no Louisiana Philharmonic Orchestra. 'cause
Well,
that's
the
where
people
the money
who
comes from.
people who are just like, here, I feel like giving you $500,000. You know, those would still happen, but the grants, yeah.
So where is the Louisiana Philharmonic Orchestra, other than Louisiana? Is it here in New Orleans?
Yeah,
or
it's
is-
here. It's their office is on Common Street, and their home, their concert hall home, is the Orpheum. They just returned to it in September when the Orpheum reopened. But yeah, so they're based here. They perform in Hammond, Slidell, Kenner, and the North Shore, Covington, Mandeville.
As well as all across Louisiana, I assume.
No, actually, New
They
Orleans,
only
and then the Greater New Orleans area.
They only perform in the Greater New Orleans area, but they're called the Louisiana Philharmonic.
They used to be called the New Orleans Symphony Orchestra.
Why aren't they called that?
Because the New Orleans Symphony Orchestra just totally imploded.
What do you mean? Is that like a business problem? Or did the-
I'm not sure. I wasn't. That was in 1991, and I was around, but I was not a grant writer. I was like a like a third grader.
But why would they change the name of the
Because
orchestra?
it
Must
was
be
a
some
new.
legal reasons.
No, I mean it just completely. It folded, and then some of the musicians were like, "Well, we would like to still have a symphony," and so they. The musicians themselves just started a new organization, and it's a totally different governance model. It's really cool. It's musician owned and musician governed.
Oh, okay. So who owned the other one?
I don't know, the fat cats at the top. I have no idea.
Okay, so are you part of the organization?
I work on a contract basis with them.
Right.
Mostly because I didn't want a full-time job. When I interviewed, they were looking for a full-time grant writer, and I was like, well, I would love to be a grant writer, but I would rather work for myself.
And that's a full-time gig for somebody if
yeah.
you wanted it.
Yeah.
You go to work every day 5 days a week for 8 hours and beg for money, is basically.
I used to, actually. I used to work on Oak Street for the Policy and Research Group, and I was a grant writer there.
For the what?
Policy and Research Group.
Policy and Research Group.
It's an evaluation firm, but we did a lot of grant writing for nonprofits.
For those of us who don't know what a grant looks like, what is it? Is it a simple form?
It's a form. It's very rarely simple.
But are they all the same? Or
no,
they're all different.
They're all different, and it doesn't. This could get really wonky. I don't know if you really want me to get into.
Yeah, we can always stop you if the plot wears off.
If it gets really boring. Yeah, right. No, it is. It's
get a mirror. That's what a grant looks like.
Honestly, there you go.
Thank you.
Honestly, it's basically filling out like a scholarship application, but for people who aren't in school, and for varying sums of money from either individuals or family foundations or private, corporate foundations or governments.
So what are people who are giving money away? They don't want any return on their money, right? They just want to have their name attached to it.
They definitely want a return on it.
They do?
And you have to, especially for arts funding, you have to justify, how many lives do you save?
Yeah, but hang on. When I say return, I mean like an investor wants their money back and they want to make money. They want more money than they put in. But these people, I thought a grant was they give it to you.
They give it to you,
but you walk away with it.
No, you have to submit an evaluation report at the end that demonstrates how much impact you're.
Well, this is why they have also someone like you who writes fiction, I assume, to write that for you.
Yeah, well, it's interesting because when I grew up, you can't see the air quotes I'm making, but.
Meaning that you haven't grown.
No. That my first gig was at an evaluation firm. I have a lot of weird background in evaluation, so I'm always after the LPO crew to beef up their evaluation, but it's really hard for a performing arts organization. They don't tend to have a lot of experience with evaluation or just justifying why music is important, know.
What would a good evaluation of a good use of $500,000 for an orchestra be? I mean, people showed up to the gig, or
no, that would be bare minimum demonstrating impact, and that's what most arts organizations are familiar with. So it's just people showed up, we did our job.
What else could you expect to happen?
Outreach.
Crime has been reduced.
Really?
No, really.
Really?
I write that kind of bullshit too.
Yep.
So.
Do you? What kind of bullshit do you write, Fred?
It's called fiction.
Yeah, but who are you writing that for?
When I used to work for Disney, Little Tikes, and all these things, and so when they put out a toy, they have to say how this educational toy is going to affect the outcome. So they brought me in as an educator to say it's going to teach the kid these skills, and that's going to meet the California criteria for what a first grader should know or a second grader should know. And sometimes it's socialization. How I can prove that I'm playing with Mickey Mouse?
Social emotional skill building.
And music does that. And if you could prove that after going through a series of concerts, the violence in the school went down that year, or less kids got that's...
Yeah. I mean,
seriously, that's what they're looking for.
It makes sense. It takes a lot of imagination and creativity on a part that's partly scientific or supposed to be, right? But you need somebody to talk about what's the potential of this. So yeah, it makes sense. You want to know about it. You want to imagine that it has that kind of effect, and enact whatever you can to facilitate.
My sense is that people who have been immersed in the arts intuitively understand why it's meaningful and important, and so artists tend to get frustrated that they have to justify it in numerical terms when it's.
I would think that's almost impossible to do, other than making up some sort of
it's possible
correlation like you're talking about.
You have to do it via correlation, which is okay. But
is it true though?
Well, for example, the LPO has a new music therapy program that they're doing for adults with developmental disabilities, and also at St. Michael's School. And the benefits of music therapy on those populations is very well demonstrated. I mean, it really, in terms of building or maintaining different kinds of functions, it's totally effective.
What is music therapy? Is that not just listening to music? That's
there actually is there's an organization, it's an orchestra in Wisconsin called Heartstrings. They have a program called Heartstrings, and they literally just go to hospitals and play, like a string quartet will play for sick people, and that also has a demonstrated benefit on people's health. So it's pretty,
that's just basic logic. I mean, that's why we all listen to music, to make us feel better.
Of course. And so I don't mind doing that kind of work because I think it's fun, because there's something just deeply wrong with me that finds grant applications fun. I'm also a copy editor. I love copy editing. I just have a personality defect. But
you get a commission for every grant that you write that's successful?
No. In fact, some people take commission, but it's by a lot of grant writers considered unethical, because It's not really the funder's intention to pay for a grant writer. And you don't tend to write the budget and say, like, also the grant. So it's kind of shady. And also, I do the same work whether or not the grant gets funded. You know, the amount of work I put in has nothing to do with the size of the award. You know?
Yeah, but
maybe your quality is, it's incentivized or something.
People say it's incentivized, but it's I do the same work regardless.
But don't you feel better when you write a successful grant for a huge amount of money, and rather than get rejected?
I feel better. I feel better in the long run, but especially for an organization I think the arts organizations in particular really live and die by $500 grants and $1,000 grants, and it can feel like, the NEA, the National Endowment for the Arts, they typically give out like $10,000 challenge grants every year, and the amount of work you have to do for these federal grants is unbelievable. Like, totally out of all proportion to the actual value of the money. And then you have to get the award, you also have to come up with a match. So you have to come up with 10 grand on your own to get their 10 grand and do this insane amount of work and have these intense work samples. It's like, is it really $10,000, guys? Do you really want it that bad?
Well, there's a lot of sentiment in Congress, I think, on behalf of most of the American people, or what is perceived to be, that we don't want to be giving money away to the ballet and the orchestra and all this stuff.
Well, it's just, it's not really important,
Right, it's not like, look at the amount of money we give to the Saints alone here in the state. In the Tom Benson's organization, with the giant building they practically gave them downtown, and the Superdome they rebuilt for them, and all the various tax credits they get. I'm sure you'd be thrilled to get 10% of that money for the orchestra.
What's interesting is I have a dancer friend in Germany, so we don't have a state ballet. We have Louisiana Philharmonic Orchestra, but in terms of professional dance in the state of Louisiana, there's no full-time professional dance company, not in New Orleans, not anywhere. So the dancers, especially the ballet dancers who grow up here, they usually leave the state by the age of 15, and they have to train. So this girl trained in Houston at the Houston Ballet School. Now she dances professionally in Germany. She says she's going to stay in Germany for the rest of her professional career. She's basically like exiled, because if she wants to work and have a pension and benefits, it's so hard to find that in the States. And she says it's interesting because Germany is subdivided into, I don't know how many like states within the country. Say they have, I'm just guessing, like 12 states, and there's like 67 state theaters. And she says that in her community, the public theater, it's funded by the citizens, and it's like their football team. Like, they subscribe to their theater because it's theirs, and they feel a lot of pride in it. I feel like if we had any sense of, like, the pride that New Orleanians have in the Saints towards, like, something like the orchestra or a ballet, we would be a lot better off in terms of arts funding.
Is there a reason that ballet and classical music is more popular in Germany than it is here? People just don't go to the ballet here. They don't go.
Well, what ballet would they go to? What ballet would they go to?
Suppose it would say the symphony orchestra. People just don't go to that. It's full when you do. The ones I've been to, there seem to be it's a full house.
What, at
there are plenty of people going.
Yeah. No, I don't. We had a ballet, and in the 90s it also I guess around the same time that the New Orleans Symphony Orchestra folded, the ballet folded. So it never recovered. I don't know. It makes me mad.
Does it?
It does, yes.
What do you think, Fred? Why is classical music not so popular in the United States?
Short attention span.
Nah, I hate that argument.
No, seriously, for classical music or any sort of extended music, I think audiences in the United States are short attention span. Imagine the only thing somebody will sit 3 hours for is like the Avengers movie, because you're blowing stuff up.
Well,
but they will. The football game, they will. And if that,
because there's like violence. The most popular opera in Louisiana is what is the Samson and Delilah, because at the end of it he knocks down the temple. And I had people when the guy,
I believe it.
when I was going to Loyola, we had to go see. We go to cultural stuff. You go to the ballet, you go to the symphony, and all that. And the guy who was like giving the talk beforehand, he's commented about this horrible status of ballet and opera and all that in the United States right now.
We do actually have opera.
We do have opera, yes.
We do have opera, and we do have an orchestra. We just but not a ballet.
Right. Not anymore. Yeah.
No.
Well, tons of people go to the opera too.
Yeah.
That's pretty well attended as well.
Yeah, I do. I think that opera and I think also ballet benefit from the integration of the other art forms. So, I mean, you've got the trained dancers, and that's the focus, but there's sets, and there's music.
Well, it's hugely expensive to
spectacle.
put stuff.
Yeah, it's a
And
whole,
there's
it's a whole
costumes and all that
thing.
stuff, right?
Yeah.
Isn't it a very expensive thing to put on?
Well, I can tell you that the symphony, I mean, the amount of money it takes to produce one concert just to pay 67 musicians and the musical director is staggering.
Well, how much is it?
I mean, I don't know off the top
Are you allowed
of my
to tell
head.
us?
I mean, I
Is
don't
it classified information?
I don't think it's classified. I don't know off the top of my head, but it's not cheap. And it's funny. It's
Well,
just one of those.
How much is it?
I really don't know off the top of my head, but it's more. It's
Well,
more
off the
than
top of your head, how much
more
is
than
it?
$1,000. It's
more than $1,000?
Yes, I think it's more than $10,000.
It's more than 10,000.
And it's
67 musicians. Is that how many there are?
67 musicians and the musical director, the conductor.
But are they getting paid per performance or are they on the payroll?
They're on a payroll.
So how often are they performing?
Oh my God, they perform constantly. They have.
Do they?
Mm-hmm. I think they in some
Between
of the grant
here,
language.
Hammond,
Slidell,
Covington,
Kenner,
Slidell.
Mandeville, and then they do education concerts. They do it really writing for them is like my dream grant writing job. I love grant writing because there's something wrong with me, and I am.
What do you think it is? Arabic?
No,
Metairie.
I don't think
Metairie.
it's that. I think
And Mount
honestly,
Carmel altogether.
and I didn't graduate from Mount Carmel.
The triangulation of the thing.
Where did you graduate from?
The Louisiana School for Math, Science, and the Arts.
What is that?
It's a. It is.
Is it actually in Louisiana?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it is a state-funded boarding school for nerds in Natchitoches.
A state-funded boarding school for nerds in Natchitoches.
Yeah. And
Cross
that's-
ro- oh, yeah.
that-
Good point.
Yeah.
I have to do these sponsor messages.
Oh, okay, do
Hey,
it.
write that
Yeah.
down. State-funded.
If you just say novella, we can come back to it because that's what the novella is about.
Oh, cool. Is it?
Mm-hmm.
What's it? Say that sentence again. State-funded
State-funded boarding school for nerds
In
Natchitoches.
in Natchitoches.
With meat pies.
State-funded boarding
With meat pies.
school for nerds in Natchitoches.
With meat
For
pies.
those of us who are not living in Louisiana, spell Natchitoches for the rest of the country.
You have to spell like Natchitoches.
Yeah, I can never-
Natchitoches.
State-funded boarding school for nerds in Natchitoches. I think that could be the name of today's show. Don't you guys think that? Okay, here we go. I want to say thank you to these people who made today's show possible. Today's show is brought to us by Petite Pet Care. If you're going out of town or you have a crazy schedule, the folks at Petite Pet Care will take care of your pet in his or her own home. You don't have to board them. For loving care when you're not there, you can go to petitepetcare.com and get hooked up. Thank you too to Basics Swim and Gym, a full range of fashion swimsuits, workout, and very cool yoga clothes with style. You can find that on Magazine Street near Jefferson Avenue if you get across the street. Also, thank you to Hangover Destroyer, the only all-natural product medically proven to prevent a hangover. I can tell you it works. All of us here can attest to that. Go to the Hangover Destroyer website. It's called hdestroyer.com. Write happy hour in the coupon code and get 30% off of Hangover Destroyer. So you too can seize the dawn. Thank you as well to unlistednola.com, the revolutionary new way to buy a house in New Orleans. If you know what you're looking for, you can find your perfect match before it comes on the market. It's thematch.com of real estate. It's unlistednola.com. Music today performed by the one and only Andrew Duhon. Alice's Restaurant.
Not exactly, but
Kind of.
sort of. Yeah, it's
That
got
last bit was
it's got
vaguely.
that one change, and then the turnarounds. Yeah.
Nice. That's very nice. Did you write that or did you
No, that's
just
that's
made
a
it up
s-
on the spot?
That's a song, kind of a song called "Traveling Man" by Roy Bookbinder.
Oh, really?
Well, the song's not by Roy Bookbinder, but that rendition of
So
it.
who took what from whom?
Uh,
Who wrote Alice's
it's an
Restaurant?
old-
Alice's Restaurant.
Arlo
Arlo
Guthrie.
Guthrie 50
Arlo
years
Guthrie,
ago
that's right.
is when they came out.
50 years ago.
Is it the only thing that you like about Thanksgiving?
Was Arlo Guthrie's song, Alice's Restaurant. Well, I never even realized it is about
It
Thanksgiving.
is totally about Thanksgiving.
And
Yeah.
he's performing it. He's doing in Biloxi in January.
In Biloxi.
He's doing a 50-year tour.
Well, like at Beau Rivage, where is he doing it?
I think it's at like the Beau Rivage or something.
And he's performing Alice's Restaurant or he's just doing a show?
It's an anniversary show of
Alice's
Alice's
Restaurant.
Restaurant.
Oh, wow.
So that's obviously going to be a
Plays that
show.
song twice, takes a break, plays it once more.
That is a great song. I wonder what he was thinking when he came up with that idea. I mean, that's like 25 minutes long or something.
Story. Yeah.
Such a
I don't
great
know.
song.
It's a good
You
story.
can get anything you want at Alice's Restaurant. Okay, so, Andrew, you want to play a song now or should we just... Yeah, why not?
Okay. Yeah, I'll play a tune.
Yeah.
So this, I'm gonna put a little foot tambourine on it.
Okay.
At the
On your foot?
At the risk, yeah.
Okay.
At the risk of doing the Dick
You
Van
can do
Dyke,
that.
Mary
You can do
Poppins
that.
thing
I was
here.
going to say you do that without looking. That's very impressive.
So, this is just a dessert. It's not an entree, but this is
Dessert was one of the best things you've ever eaten in your life. Don't
Oh,
forget
that's
that.
true, yeah. But this is so I was playing for a friend's wedding, and I wanted to write them a love song. So I had this idea for it, and I made up a song that I thought, was all right for, good little gift, I suppose. But then I revisited it, and I had another idea for it, and so now it goes like this. Did you know there's about 5,000 planes in the sky at any given time? And there's a single engine train pulling a train through the night. Things like this, all their life will blow my mind apart. Leave me feeling as scattered as a piece of $1 million modern art. So many things I never wrap my head around. Leave a man filled with fear and doubt. No matter how I try, there's so many things I never wrap my head around. But when I look into your eyes, I know we got one thing figured out. Did you know that hot water freezes faster than cold? Don't think about it too long, you're liable to want to bury your head in the snow. And if I say that an alarm goes off and an alarm goes on, how does that mean the same damn thing? Unisex, two sexes, unicycle, one wheel, it's embarrassing. So many things I'll never know the first thing about. Oh, uncertainty will fill a man with fear and doubt. No matter how I try, there's so many things I'll never wrap my head around. But when I look into your eyes, well, I know it. We got one thing figured out. Every day, another doubt, another chance to choose the wrong way to go. But any day that you're around, the weight of the world don't feel like a heavy load. So many things I never know the first thing about. Uncertainties fill a man like me with fear and doubt. No matter how I try, so many things I'll never wrap my head around. But when I look into your eyes, sweet dog, I know I got one thing figured out.
Oh my goodness. Okay, we got to get serious about the song now. Don't you think? You know what you got to do with that song?
What's that?
That's a country music hit.
You think?
Yes. Don't you think, you guys? Seriously.
I feel like, all right, so here's the thing. I was actually like hanging out with friends for a good 2 weeks talking about, okay, let's talk about things that you just can't figure out that like make you question your own reality. The only one that I came up with on my own was the hot water.
Why does hot water freeze faster than
See,
cold?
I'll give you the example, but then I'll draw you a graph and I'll confuse myself again. But
It doesn't make any logical
so like
sense.
a pond doesn't freeze until the bottom of the pond is as cold as that top layer, right, or just underneath, right? So a pond is constant. Let's say a pond in the winter in Ontario, it's constantly rotating, right? You know, so the cold water is falling to the bottom and the warmer to the top, right? So it's not going to freeze. The top ice sheet is not going to freeze until the very bottom of it is almost as cold, right?
I don't know if that's
so we'll
true
start
or not.
there.
I'm just going to have to believe
it's absolutely
you. Okay.
true. So the only way that I can figure out the whole hot water freezing faster than cold is it's moving faster. Therefore, it's coming in contact. The surfaces. It doesn't make any sense.
Well, the
to me,
good
but
news
it's
is
true.
that pH Fred
You
is
want to explain the physics
Can you?
to
Yeah,
Yes.
Fred.
All right, so hot water rises, hot heat rises.
Mm-hmm.
All the water is going to be colder than 32 degrees, freezing, right?
Yeah.
So the stuff at the top is going to freeze quicker because it's closer to the air, and the air is the key to that thing. So the hot water's rising. Everything's below 32 degrees, but it's the cold water that's at 32 that hits the top first is the water that freezes down.
Right, but why does the hot water freeze faster than cold? So if I
Because
start,
you always freeze from the top down. It's what hits the
And
what's
it's
the
evaporating quicker because it's hotter. Is that what you're
air.
saying?
Yeah, because the hot water rises. Just take that part of the equation.
Hot water itself. Water is not rising.
No,
is
but
it?
anything hot rises. Hot air rises. Hot water
Well,
rises.
water is not rising in front of your eyes.
Well,
Surely.
it
is
rises. It circulates.
I see. Okay.
It goes from the cold to the hot to the cold to the hot.
yeah, but I guess I
So-
still.
But what's at the top hits the air, and whatever water is 32 degrees that hits the air first is going to freeze first.
To me, it must mean that the surface, whatever temperature, when hitting freezing temperature air, must almost instantaneously turn to
Some sort
32
of ice crystal,
degrees.
yeah.
Like, it just, I don't know. I hate it.
Well, steam would, I suppose, because it's less dense, steam would freeze quicker than water. Is that right, Fred?
If it's 32 degrees, but it's not 32 degrees because it's
You know,
steam.
what I heard that's
Right,
really
good
interesting?
point.
There was a plane that went down over the ocean, and they figured out why, because there is water vapor that is sub-zero, or sub-zero is Celsius, I guess, sub-freezing in the atmosphere, but it's so pure that it's not actually frozen crystal, and it needs impurity to freeze. So it's way below freezing in temperature, but because it's completely pure water, it's not frozen. And it took the plane moving through this air to offer the impurity necessary to make all the
So, Grant, do
gadgets
you
freeze.
understand all this crystal math?
Oh, very good.
Actually, we should defer to you. You went to the math and science
Let's
school.
cook up some more.
I was an arts focus.
You draw a picture.
You went to a math and science school and did arts.
Well, it's math, science, Louisiana School for Math, Science, and the Arts.
Oh, it's got the arts in it
Can
as well.
I
okay.
give you the
Yeah.
absolute worst one of these that I just couldn't fit into the song?
What's that?
I was really into the unisex unicycle. That
Thank
made
you.
That
me
was
so
good.
Happy.
Thank you.
That made me laugh.
Unisex is two.
Yeah, that's really
Sex
good.
is
Unicycle
unicycle
is
one
one.
bike.
That's
That's
funny.
really good.
It's embarrassing.
No, it's
Okay.
Well, that's
So what's
what
the
rhymes
example?
with the song.
Yeah.
What's the example? Because we've got a
Okay.
rhyming dictionary.
Yeah,
we
look,
can get
okay.
it in.
So check this out, and
Okay.
I hate this more than the ice one. So you're on a game show, and you get 3 doors. Behind 2 doors is a goat. Behind 1 door is a car. You are allowed to choose 1 door. Let's say we choose door 1. Who cares? Doesn't matter. Completely random. You got 1 in 3 chance, right? We all know this. You choose door number 1. Next step to the game show is the host opens up one of the doors. Let's say he opens up door number 2. It's goats. Hey, good news for you. Now you're down to 50-50, right? So the host now gives you the option to change or stay with door number 1.
Okay.
Apparently, and this is I hate this because to me, just like when you roll a dice, a die, a dice, a die,
A die, singular.
yeah, right. You roll it 50 times, it comes up 2, let's say, by some mystery of the universe. You roll it the next time, it's got just as much chance of coming up with a 2 as anyone.
Right.
That's
Yeah,
I
it doesn't
understand
matter,
that probably.
right.
Okay, yeah, all right.
So the problem with this though is, why isn't it 50-50? Because apparently, the thing that you're supposed to do in this scenario is change to the other door, and then you have a 2 in 3 chance. You are probable of getting the car. It doesn't make any sense to me. Why isn't it 50-50 either way?
Because it's still 30%. Because there are 3 doors, so there's a 33%
Yeah.
chance between each one.
Yep.
Once you take out 1,
Yep.
it's got to be the car has got to be behind one or the other.
Yep.
So
it's
then
50-50.
it's got to be 50-50, right? That sounds logical, but
But
what's
apparently-
wrong with our computation?
Apparently, if you map it out with all the possibilities involved, and you include,
see.
you include like, you chose goats first time or you chose car first time. If you map them all out, 1 in 3 and 2 in 3, etc., and you look at the staying where you are or changing.
I can tell you the math right now.
Yeah.
All right, so you picked 1 out of 3 chances, right? So there's 2/3 left. You have a 1 out of 2, so you multiply 2/3 by 1/2, and that gives you 1/3.
Why?
You multiply 2/3 times 1/2. The math: 2 times 1 is 2. 2 times 3 is 6.
Why do you multiply those?
Because you're multiplying the probabilities. You're multiplying the remainders.
Okay.
ACT. Okay, and then so if 1/3 is the chance that it's it, 2/3 is the chance that you're right. If you change your choice.
Right. Doesn't that
Wow.
suck? Doesn't that suck? That was great.
I would not be able to get.
I just had a kid help me through that. I've been doing this problem for 20 years. I had a kid 10 years ago showed me a drawing to do that picture. Had a kid last week does it in 10 seconds.
Yeah.
Wow.
Shows us some sort of math, but she goes to
So
Ursula.
can you just say it very quickly again? So you're now down to 2/3. So you've removed
reverse your odds.
Right. So
Yeah.
you've removed 1/3, and now there's a
Amazing.
2/3 chance of it.
Amazing.
Wow. Okay, that's interesting.
Okay.
Does
Let's
it
go on
help
a game
you?
show.
Does it help you win the car though?
2/3 chance apparently.
Yeah.
So now I got to ask you, since this song is super new, and let's change this shit up. Anybody else got some like real mind bogglers to put in there?
Oh man.
And Glaviano
I'll leave you with that.
for 10. I tell you what, I am telling you to do right now though. That is a country music hit, isn't it?
Anybody can have it. That's
You got to find a way to sell that.
You know
to get
this
that
idea.
to somebody.
I
like,
love.
I
There's
don't know
like
who they are.
adages. There's adages for songwriting, like 3 chords and the truth, and just like cute things like that. But one of my favorite ones is you got to write something clever or write something true, and I prefer to write something true, but that one's clever. So yeah, it's fucking.
Or as Jim McCormick said, write 1 word, get your 3rd.
That's right. Yeah.
But that is really, I mean, that's got that sort of, it's catchy and it's kind of heartfelt and it's sweet and it's kind of corny-ish,
Yeah.
with the examples.
You know what? I do
That's
like
country.
it. I do like it because it's a love song, but it never really says love, and it does. I think it does touch on one part of something that I have felt in a healthy relationship, which is there's a lot of stresses going on, but when you have someone around and you see eye to eye and you love each other, it really is like. I don't know anything else, but you and I, like, we got
that
this.
one thing
We got
figured
this.
out.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we got this.
Right.
That's all we know. We got this down. Now let's figure
That's
everything else out.
That's a great human
And that's
desire.
a good country song, because the bad country songs always go the other way. Because my worst country song I ever wrote was called "Now That I Got a Colostomy, No Need for an Asshole Like You." Catchy line. But better than that, I had a friend who was a DJ at TUL. She found out that her husband was cheating. While he was sleeping, she stabbed him in the back, true story, and said, "Don't roll over, because I left the knife in." That's a fucking country song.
That's beautiful.
Why did you have to add TUL? Or there's it?
Well, she was a real person.
That's a
but-
true
but
story. We're
it's
not
a-
going
it's
to
a
get
true story.
sued now.
No, we're not
buddy.
going to get sued now.
Okay, that's a true story.
And he knew he was wrong, so he didn't even file a police report.
Wow.
That's amazing.
But what kind of person stabs someone while they're asleep?
Someone who's mad.
Shit, that's a psychological problem right there. That's someone you wouldn't want to be with, isn't it? I can see why the guy's cheating on. Not that I know either of them, but really, the kind of person who's going to stab you while you're asleep, that's not somebody.
So sticks with the happy country
Frankly,
song.
but
Yeah.
back to reality. That is a great song.
Thanks, dude.
What do you
I
think?
like it as well. I'll give it a.
And what do you think? You're a writer.
Yeah, no, I think
Who would we get it to?
Well, so it's interesting that you say that. So my dad, when I was growing up, was a lawyer, and then he became an insurance salesman, and he sells insurance. He's an independent agent for. Oh, your phone is
I
making
know
noises.
it's
What's
Stephanie Regal from Out to Lunch Baton Rouge.
Oh.
It's
Right?
funny.
check
Funny
it.
how
I
there's
can't
this
talk
double standard where other people's phones rings and he makes you answer it.
Yeah, but
when
I
his phone
can't.
rings.
I can't talk to Stephanie. I understand.
Anyway.
No.
She-
But so anyway, my dad, when I was a kid, well, all the time when I was a kid, and now he's intensely creative. He's always got a project going, and lately he's really into music. He wrote music when he was younger, and he has decided he's going to write like the next crossover country hit. So he has all these connections in Nashville.
How did he
So
get?
if you want any-
How did he get all the connections?
Well, my sense is that if you stick to it and you have enough people, like enough money to pay people to give you feedback,
yeah.
there's just a huge market in Nashville for people who are like, I'm going to write the next great country hit, and
Well,
they're
probably
like, I'm
everybody's,
going to help
right.
you. You know what I mean?
Right.
It's so.
So is he writing songs, your dad?
He's writing songs and getting feedback on them. He has not written the next great crossover country hit, but or maybe he has, but no one has purchased it. But
we
if
just
you
don't
wanna,
know about it.
Do you spend much time in Nashville?
I'm trying to go every other month, maybe more like monthly soon. But yeah, I'm starting to entertain or better yet, explore the whole co-writing thing.
Right. And that's really, at least my friends who have made it in Nashville, they usually do the 2 or 3 person co-write things, and that gets your foot in the door. And then when you get the hit, they want people start wanting you on that song.
Yeah, it's tough because I think that's like it's like making custom furniture when these people are probably sculptors. If they were really honest with themselves, they have a form that they could make themselves that would be their own, but I frown upon all that. George Strait's about to come out with a record, and he's looking for a song about trucks. So,
and it's kind of neat sometimes to get the phone call. I'm having a record come out. Send me some songs. It's a good. I've had that happen a couple of times. Not in Nashville because I don't write that crap. But I've had musicians call me and say they need a song. So it's kind of flattering to ship songs off.
And that's the thing. I really am into the idea of bouncing these things off of people in real time. And I still am kind of selfish about what I'm trying to say and whether or not it's being swayed by other people, but I think lately I'm playing songs that aren't finished for songwriter colleagues more and more, and getting together with them, and that's my favorite. That's the healthiest thing I think is I got some 80% finished tunes. You got some 80% finished tunes. I don't want any part of yours. You don't want any part of mine.
Give us your feedback.
Yeah, let's
that's nice.
I think that's great. The co-writing thing has its merit. I think it's great to it's like having bumper lanes in bowling. You got you got 2 lanes to bounce it off of, and you're going to hit some pins. Right. But I think everybody's got something to say, and maybe one guy's heartbroken, one guy's in love, and that's a tough song to write.
There's a whole political thing in Nashville that you were talking about, that you have to write with people who are already successful. Or can you just go there by yourself with a song? And
no, for sure.
Like
once
you have to do this co-writing.
Once you find some success, then it becomes you got your foot in a door. It's just like shows, If you get to a certain point where you can bring 100 people, then somebody wants to open for you. Okay, can you bring 20? It's that sort of thing.
Hey, before we get out of here, Anne, tell us about your novella that you've just finished. About the high school.
About my weird high school. So novellas are kind of a notoriously difficult form to publish unless you're going to put them in a collection with a bunch of short stories, because they're an awkward length. The traditional outlet for short fiction, the first time around, is a literary journal, like these journals that no one except other writers read, but they're very prestigious. Just trust me, and they pay you in contributor copies. So I have some of those publications of varying degrees of fancy, and I had a lot of people, including the first short story I published is in a journal called Prairie Schooner. It's very fancy. I got paid in contributor copies, but I had sent them the novella, and they were like, "This is great. Send us something that isn't a novella." And then they published the story that I sent them. So nice. I've been trying to publish the novella for a couple of years. I submitted it to novella contests. It didn't win. Anyway, my 15-year high school reunion is coming up, and I wanted it because it's about my high school, and it was the writing process was supported by the guys in the boys' dorm. I had emailed a bunch of them, and I was like, "Can you remind me of gross memories of living in the boys' dorm?" So anyway, there's a lot of people who have their fingerprints in that story. So it's coming out with it's like an Amazon Kindle single.
Okay.
They have a publication called Day One that's sort of new. So it's coming out in January.
Can we buy it?
Yeah, you can buy it,
Amazon?
and it's
what do we look for?
What's it called?
It's called. You ready?
Yeah.
Dickbeer.
Dickbeer.
Yeah.
Oh my.
No.
I know where this is going.
Is that one word?
It's one word. Dickbeer.
Dickbeer.
Uh-huh.
Geez, of all the words in the English language you could have put together.
Uh-huh. Yeah.
Dick Beer.
Dickbeer. There's also a Spotify playlist.
A Spotify playlist that goes with the book.
Because I'm a DJ and I can't publish a novella without having an attending
soundtrack
playlist. Yeah.
Well, I mean, someone's going to have to ask you. This is the first interview you've done for the book?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, let's go then. This is like a real book interview now.
That's it.
Yeah, okay. So, Anne, tell us, where did you get the title Dickbeer?
Okay, so the real true story is there was a guy in our class who got the nickname Dickbeer because the story goes, we were high school students and Natchitoches doesn't have a lot going on, and it's difficult. We didn't have cars. We couldn't drive around. It was just hard to access things. And if you wanted a beer, for example, this guy, he went up to it's on the Northwestern State University campus, the high school is, and so he went up to some college students and he apparently offered to suck someone's dick for a beer. So.
Not in the seriousness, did he?
No, well, no one was really sure, but everyone called him Dickbeer for the rest of eternity. So I have named my protagonist.
Was it a microbrew?
No, this was sort of, dude, this was in like 1999.
Okay, that's the line of the day right there. Okay.
Maybe it was a logger.
Yeah, right.
Okay,
Oh,
so
boy, I
did he ever deny doing this, Dick?
Oh no, I mean it wasn't like there was no refuting it. Like everyone just kind of accepted that this is what had happened, and he didn't really fight it, and everyone called him Dickbeer.
And what happened to Dickbeer?
I think he didn't graduate. People got kicked out a lot. So anyway, the guy.
Well, what's his real name?
He's a state representative.
Yeah, really.
David
Vetter.
Right, yeah. I can't remember his last name. I'm not going to tell you his first name, but everyone.
You don't remember his name?
He didn't.
I mean, you don't have to tell us his name.
First of all, he
really
didn't graduate with it. Secondly, everyone called him Dickbeer.
Dickbeer.
I don't remember.
That would be fantastic to find out what happened to a high school kid.
Yeah.
And that could be your documentary.
Oh, people know. Actually,
Finding Dickbeer.
Brilliant. Well, okay. So in fact, when I posted on Facebook that this thing was coming out, and all the kids from my high school are really excited about reading it, and one of them said, "I heard that Dickbeer is actually he joined some really intense Christian organization, and he's got."
No,
so I said the
sense.
follow up is Dickbeer come to Jesus.
Yeah.
So,
Sweet.
so yeah, no.
Okay. Now that's a great story to end on. And the whole thing is called, what's the actual book called?
It's
just called
Dickbeer.
Dickbeer.
Yeah.
It's just called Dickbeer.
Yeah.
Dickbeer,
Why
you
don't-
can't beat that title.
Yeah,
Why,
it's memorable.
Why don't you turn it into a novel instead of a novella,
It's
and then
not-
you'd have an easier time?
It's just because that's
Not enough of a story.
And friends in Hollywood, we can make a screenplay.
Yeah, right. There you go. Well, that actually, and a
Right.
novella is a good length for
It is.
an
Good
adaptation.
point.
But
Dickbeer the
yeah,
movie coming
yeah,
soon.
Yeah.
As he is in the Christian field, perhaps it's changing water to Dickbeer.
There you go.
Oh, nice. Who would play the part of Dickbeer, do you think?
Oh, I don't know. I haven't.
Who's he?
thought that
How old would it be if they're a high school kid?
Yeah.
Because Hollywood really
17.
embraces movies like that, where the young protagonist
it's a
sucks
coming of
someone's
age
dick for a
story.
beer.
Yeah,
it's really.
totally.
I can see the poster now. Guy going down on some sort of a college kid.
The best part
in a
is that
school.
they
Didn't
asked
you wear
me.
a uniform
yeah,
at that school?
No, it's public school. But they asked us to, or they do cover art, and so they asked me like, "What is your
Yeah,
idea
no kidding.
for the
Yeah.
cover art?" I was like, "Well, neither a dick nor beer. I couldn't give you that much."
Wow. Okay. Well, I'm glad we got on to Dickbeer before we have to get out of here. We do have to actually leave, but. Anne Glaviano, thank you so much for
Yay,
joining
thanks
us. And
for inviting me.
Congratulations on finishing in Dickbeer and getting it published.
Yeah, thanks.
So we can buy it at Amazon.com.
At Amazon.com.
Okay, we're going to do that. PH Fred, the best of album is called what?
It's called You Are Unique in All the World.
You're Unique in All the World, and it's available on iTunes.
Yes, as well as hard copies.
And can we steal it on Spotify like we do with everything
Sure.
else? We don't have to buy it, do we? For God's sake? Okay, all right.
Nobody ever buys my
That's good
stuff.
to know. No, we don't want to buy it. But we can go see you. We can find out all about you at phfred.com.
Sure.
There's links to all the stuff on our website. It's neworleans.com as well. That's the end of our show. On behalf of Andrew Duhon and I, thank you so much for stopping by. I can tell you a little bit about who's responsible for the show if you like. Our show is produced by the fabulous Graham DePonte. It's associate produced and technically directed by Chris Kehoe. Our music director is Christian Unruh. Although our music guest didn't show up today, strangely enough.
Could you believe it?
I couldn't. Our theme music was written by and is being played by Mitch Foreman. If you'd like to be on our show, you can drop us a line if you'd like. Our address is on our website. It's neworleans.com, where you can also hear many other happy hours, as well as some other shows we make here. Out to Lunch with Peter Raschuti, live from Commander's Palace. True to the Game with Chris True. Midnight Menu +1 with Margot Moss and the Man Who Ate New Orleans, Ray Canada. Louisiana Eats with Poppy Tooker. Milo's Music Parlor with Kim Vu. And The Revolutionary New Way to Buy a House in New Orleans. It's called Unlisted NOLA. We also make shows in Lafayette and Baton Rouge as well. You can find them at itsbatonrouge.la and itsacadiana.com. You can keep up with us on Facebook and on Twitter and a bunch of other time-sucking social media. On all of it, we're called It's New Orleans. You can find photos from this show on itsneworleans.com and also on our Facebook and Google Plus pages. These photos are taken today by Michael Winters, who's right over there. If you're listening to this show on iTunes, who's calling me now? Somebody from Lafayette. I'll have to call them back. Who would that be, I wonder? You can find photos. Oh, did we do that about the show? Yeah, iTunes. If you listen to this show on iTunes or Stitcher or some other podcast app, thank you for subscribing to us. Take a moment, if you can, to rate and review us. That helps other people find us, and you'd like that, wouldn't you? Our show is recorded live today at the fabulous Wayfair on Ferret Street, where they put fine dining into a sandwich, fine booze into a glass, and have a fine happy hour every day from 4 to 7, I think it is, and lunch.
Sounds right.
And brunch.
Yep.
On
Brunch
the weekends.
on the weekends is amazing.
Happy Hour is a production of INO Broadcasting for itsneworleans.com. For Andrew Duhon, I'm Grant Morris. Thank you very much for joining us from everyone around the table here at Wayfair and back at our office at INO Broadcasting. We'll see you back here next week for more Happy Hour.
Heads up, denim lovers! Old Navy's biggest denim sale ever is here. All jeans are on sale up to 60% off. Styles start at just $12 for adults, $8 for kids. Plus, this Saturday and Sunday only, don't miss the Jean a Day giveaway. Want a free pair of Old Navy's all new jeans? Stop in for your chance to win. And for up to 60% off all jeans now at Old Navy. Valid 9/16 through 9/24. Excludes in-store clearance. 5 per day per store. Select styles. Jean giveaway in stores only. See stores for details.